Dominicano yo soy, caigo para donde quiera, plato mi bandera. Y si yo salgo allá afuera, me siento bien, cosa buena, orgullosamente canto a mis estrellas sin pena. Soy un gran caribeño, soy latinoamericano, con orgullo le canto a todos mis pueblanos. Y cuando canto allá afuera, me siento bien, cosa buena, yo represento mi patria y a mi tricolor bandera. Dominicano yo soy, caigo para donde quiera, rico y pongo la bandera otra vez, caballero. Y cuando canto allá afuera, me siento bien, cosa buena, canto con todo el derecho, sigo para adelante sin pena.
All right. ¿Qué lo que? My name is Emmanuel. I just stole your tagline. What's up, girl?
¿Qué lo que, man? That's okay. That's the Dominican tagline. It's not even mine. It's ours. That's the best part about it.
How are you?
Doing good. Thank you so much for having me, and happy Dominican Independence Day. Glad to be sharing it with you today.
Exactly. That's what's up. I'm glad to have you on my channel. Thank you for taking your time and saying yes. You know, I've been following you for some time. I don't know where I found you. I mean, probably through somebody else's page. I talked about finances. I don't know, but it was dope, and I started liking your stuff, and I'm like, okay, let me follow her. But the moment I saw your name, I'm like, esa tiene que ser dominicana. She had to be Dominican with that name, Sahirenys.
Yes, definitely.
So look at my wife saying happy independence to my sister island, because she's from Haiti, by the way, my wife.
Oh, I love that. I feel like I've been learning so much about like the history of Dominican Republic and Haiti, and I feel like I just have so much more respect for that time, like everything that people went through that time. So I don't know, every time I see a Haitian person, like I'm like, you guys are my cousins, you guys are my family. And same thing with Dominicans, Puerto Ricans, and Cubans. We all like cousins pretty much.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we know the history of slavery with the Haitians and the Africans and all that stuff, and they were all mixed in, and then they were sent, especially the Haitians were sent to Louisiana as their first place as slave trades and all that. So we're all together. We're all in this.
Exactly.
Awesome. So Sahirenys, thank you for coming. This is going to be an exciting conversation. And I have some questions for you, so people can know who you are, and where you're from, and what do you do for a living, and all that kind of stuff. Because as you know, or my viewers know, I'm very passionate about finances, and that all started 2 years ago. So we'll talk about that more. But I want to give my viewers a quick intro of, a little bit of who you are, and I have to go into your little page and read some stuff. So Sahirenys and her family was heavily affected by the 2008 recession, which started her path into the financial planning career. She graduated from California State University, Northridge, with a bachelor's in finance and an emphasis in financial planning. She worked at a few financial service companies like Merrill Lynch, MetLife, and Ameriprise prior to starting her blog. Sahirenys and her husband, Freddie, are currently living in San Diego, California, West Coast, stand up, with her two kids, Raylene and Lee, but like any Dominican will say Raylene. On her off time, she loves creating new family traditions like cooking together for their famous appetizer night, taking photos, and watching comedies. So it seems like you have an interesting family and doing those different things, and we're going to talk about those things as well. So,
right.
Sahirenys, for you guys, this is we don't know each other personally, but my Dominican sister, if I want to say it like that, we are excited because it is a Dominican independence, so that is awesome. So let me start off with this, Sahirenys. So we already pretty much entering March, right? I think tomorrow or in a few days, we're about to make a whole year of the pandemic. you know?
Yes.
Yeah,
It's been a lot. It's been a long time.
exactly. So I want to ask, and I know California kind of got hit hard too, especially with the shutdown. But how have you and your family been since then?
We've been okay. We've been kind of staying away from friends and family. I know it's a little, controversial because everyone wants to come over and, still have kickbacks. But because my son has a heart defect and he's kind of like on that list that needs to be a little bit more cautious with the COVID
Yeah.
pandemic, we've taken those precautions and, we're doing what we need to do to make sure that he doesn't get it because, he's someone that could get more affected by it, especially when it comes to his breathing and everything like that. So we just don't want to risk anything. We've been homeschooling, and I guess it's a little weird because I was already transitioning from my daughter going to pre-K, and now her having to be back in the house and teaching her and then teaching my son. It's a lot of work, to be honest with you. I think a lot of moms feel the exact same way.
Wow.
We're, cleaning the house, making sure we're meal prepping so we don't lose our sanity, trying to pick certain times within the day to do the education and still do everything that I'm doing for Poise. So it's a balancing act over here.
Yeah. I mean, I can imagine. I mean, I've never been to Cali, but just hearing, so many things and the news and people that I know through social media that lives over there, like it's just been crazy, especially the churches and it's so many things.
I know. We miss going outside. That's probably the biggest thing, like going to the beaches. Like, it's kind of weird wearing a mask when it's like, the freshest air you're going to get pretty much. So, but, we have to do. And we're here. Thankfully, the weather's starting to get a little bit better. So, it's very beautiful outside. We go for little walks into the parks, the little simple things, enjoying the little things we can.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's funny because last night, my wife and I, we had a Zoom call meeting with this young lady who lives in Cali, and we were just, helping her, guiding her through with some finances and whatnot. And it's just so funny that, I have you now from Cali, but I also interviewed another person that's from Cali, and she's going to be on my show soon again. So like all these Cali people coming my way. What's up with that?
A lot of Dominicans are actually moving to Cali, especially LA. It's so beautiful out here. I think that's what really captivates a lot of people. And especially if, you're in the military, like the Marines or the Navy, there's a big chance you might get stationed out here. And when they come out here, they see how perfect the weather is. They're just like, I might have to stay.
I mean, and we had to ask her because she don't know any Dominican. I don't know where in Cali she was from. I forgot. But I'm like, the only Dominican I know is there's one girl named Julissa. You probably know her YouTube channel. It's called Pero Like. She's the only one that lives out there because probably for business and whatnot. But I don't know any Dominicans that live out there.
There's a lot. There's a growing family of Dominicans, Puerto Ricans, Cubans, and people from all over the different Latino communities like Costa Rica and things like that as well. So it's really nice, and you meet a lot of different Latinos, and you guys start talking about your personal finances, your businesses, your family, keeping the traditions alive, passing generational wealth. These conversations are being held, but they're not very popular within our entire community.
Got it. That makes sense. Awesome. Well, I'm glad that you guys are doing well. Your kids and your husband, and still going strong in the middle of this craziness. But we gotta find our creative ways to do stuff and still have fun and whatnot. So and you homeschooling your kids, I can't even imagine. So that must be tough. But I'm glad that you have a husband to be there as well. To guide you. So I know you are Dominican, but where did you grow up? Where were you born and where did you grow up?
I was born and raised in San Diego. I know a lot of Dominicans, they're from New York and, Miami or from the DR. My parents were both immigrants. They were born and raised in the Dominican Republic, and they were both immigrants coming here to America. And since my dad joined the Navy, he was stationed out here in San Diego. He loved it. He told his cousin to come move out here. And he brought my mom whenever they got married from the DR. And we just had our entire family here. So for us, it's nice to go back home to the Dominican Republic to see, where my parents grew up, where our grandparents are at. But we also have this very California lifestyle where we're eating healthier. We're learning how to cook plátano a little bit healthier than frying it, putting it in the air fryer. Our grandmother would be like disappointed in us.
Right? That's crazy. So, wow, that's crazy. So where are your parents from in DR?
They're both from the capital, Santo Domingo. My mom's mom lives in Asua right now, but my dad's family's always been in the capital in Villa Duarte, right next to, everything. So they live like in the heart of the DR, very classic place. We used to go all the time, every summer to the DR. I used to be, I think it was called like traditional school. I have like an entire month off in the summer.
Yeah.
So we used to go for an entire month, and I don't even know how my parents did it back then. I'm like, how are y'all doing this?
Wow.
Financially, we have a large family. We're three girls, so plus my parents. So it's a lot of family members to have to, go to the DR. So it's really expensive. So we have to be very cautious now when traveling to the DR and making sure that we're making that a priority, every few years to end up going back home and visiting the family and stuff like that.
That's what's up. That's what's up. Yeah, my parents, they were both born in San Francisco de Macorís. Okay. So they were all from the Cibao. They were both born in the campo, two different campos though. And my father was born in 1941. My mom was born in 1949. And my mom actually called me a few hours ago, saying Happy Independence Day. And then she was telling me that yesterday she made 51 years of living in this country. Wow. So she came when she was 20 years old.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, I know. It's so wild. Like my mom came when she was 18. Wow. My dad, he had to fudge his age because he was getting too old for his mom to bring him over. So he had to say he was a year younger. It was kind of crazy. So he has like 2 birthdays. I'm like, oh my God, anything. When you're from the DR, you do anything to come to this country because over there's not a lot of opportunities. They can't see it. And there is a lot of opportunities, but they don't see it. So, we have to do everything possible to come here. And every time I talk to my grandma, she was in New York. She's 90 years old. She a couple months ago, I think in November, she turned 90. And I just thank her every time for, bringing us to America because my entire life is completely different than my cousins, and my other relatives that I have in the DR. I have a lot of advantages. And I know that I have a lot of advantages living here as well.
Of course. That's awesome. So we already know our culture. We already know the big families and the cousins. Because my grandma had 13 kids. So imagínate. I have 6 aunts with my mom, 7, and then 6 uncles, but only 11 of them are alive. All the women are still alive. Of course, women is statistically last longer living than men do. But that is awesome.
Dominican, I don't know about you. All the women in my family, they live for a long time. Yeah. Even I'm just like, crap, like, you still here? Thank God. It was like 90 is like, a lot of the relatives are getting to that age range. So it's pretty impressive.
Nice. That's awesome. Cool. So let me shift it a little bit and we want to talk about family. So what is one thing you enjoy about being a wife and a mother?
One thing that I enjoy I love having movie nights. I love having time that we're just hanging out with no real purpose. Just, spending family time, hugged up, cuddled up. I'm a hugger. I love hugging. Like I literally can be hugged up with my husband or my kids for a few hours. And now we just sleep like that. Like my kids sleep like right here. So I'm like, so I think that, making sure, knowing that you have a support team and that you're building up a strong team, you're bringing up, your kids with the values and the morals that you have and that your husband has, and, working together. I think that's so important, especially when it comes to family, when it comes to building wealth, when it comes to making sure that, we are prioritizing our family. Because I think that nowadays people, they're kind of like taking a back seat when it comes to family. I don't know what it is. It's a lot of financial advice about, how women need to be more empowered to do their finances separate, how, don't get married, don't change your last name. It's like a lot of things that are kind of trying to distract the family unit from moving forward. And for my family, I want my kids to see my husband and I working together, to make our family dreams reality, not just my dreams, not just my husband's dreams, our dreams together.
Exactly. That's awesome. Now, hopefully your husband's around, he can hear this. But what is, from your answer, what is one thing you admire about your husband being a husband to you and a father to your kids?
He is the best husband ever. Like, I am so lucky to have my husband. He has helped me start Poise. He has helped me, find my voice, find my financial confidence in myself, and knowing that I can do a lot of things that, I probably didn't think I could. I think it's so important that he's teaching that to our daughter and our son, the same values, not just our son some values and our daughter some other values, teaching them at the same time.
Yeah.
Leading by example, that he's like, I'm supporting your mom. I want you guys to know your mom's going to support you, and that you need to support, my son has a wife. He needs to support his wife, his daughters, and the same thing with my daughter. When she gets married, she's supporting her husband, her kids. And, it just becomes a family where we're actually supporting each other and not tearing ourselves down. Yeah. I know in the Latino community, I don't know about you, but I felt, my grandma was like, tú no sabes cocinar, salte de aquí. They'd be like telling you little things where you're supposed to know and learn slowly. But, sometimes they make you feel bad for not knowing it. Yeah. How to cook perfection, like Dominican, or how to do certain things their way. So I really want to just change that trajectory and really show our kids, and my husband doing that, leading by example, that we're going to be supporting you, helping you, guiding you, giving you advice when you want it. Yeah. And hopefully letting you start learning that you are a good problem solver. I think that's really a big thing, teaching our kids how to be good problem solvers. That's different,
Yeah, I agree with you, and I'm glad that you're going to have a husband there, to support you. And, it's funny because I talk about this because I work with middle school and high schoolers for a nonprofit in all over South Florida. And our focus of our organization is healthy relationship and avoiding risky behaviors. So I'm in like a school every 3 weeks. Right now it's on Zoom, unfortunately, but usually I'm in a school every 3 weeks. And, and one of the stuff that we talk about is can we talk about friendship, love, and dating, relationship red flags, all that healthy communication. And, I tell them, like, when it comes to, getting to know somebody, and then when the relationship is that serious, like, make sure you guys have similar goals. If you have a goal to be, I don't know, a book author, make sure that person is going to support you, and that is going to be there for you and encourage you and do it. But if that person, for some reason, does not want to do that, then you have to think twice if you really want to continue with that person. Good that you can have Freddie, like you said, he'll help you find your voice and whatnot in that area. So that's really good. That's really good.
Yeah, and it's really important that we're helping each other grow together, because, my husband, he started his career very early, and he was expanding very early on, which is, usually things that happen along the path of your career path. And, instead of him learning all of this, entrepreneurial stuff, he's actually making sure that he's educating me along the way, so that we're both growing together, and not that, I'm over here and he's over here. Because then our mindsets are going to be so different when we're having conversations, when we have to make decisions. We're going to run our family. We have to make sure that we're going together. So I think that's so important, to make sure you're not like leaving behind what's going on in your life when it comes to your spouse, having that open communication and talking about your day, talking about how you're going to negotiate, your salary, stuff like that. Like everything, you need to, play devil's advocate a little bit and help each other, communicate better and more clearly as well.
That's awesome. I'm glad to hear that. And is he Dominican too or no?
No, he just looks Dominican.
Where's he from?
He's from Alabama. He's black, so it's really funny.
Alabama with that.
Yeah, he's straight from Alabama. So when he came out here, he got like, when he comes to San Diego and California, everyone's like so mixed. You don't really know what they are. And he's very mixed. He's not very mixed. He's a little bit mixed. So he was able to be like, oh, okay. When he goes to the DR, people actually thought he was Dominican. So it's kind of funny. They're like, he's a bit tall though. They're like, he looks Dominican, but the height is kind of throwing me off. We need to teach him a little bit more Spanish, and hopefully he can get away with it a little bit more.
That's great. So does he have the Southern accent?
No, he completely got rid of his Southern accent for like professional reasons. He didn't want to be associated with, having an accent at work. So he kind of like got rid of it. And now he has like a Cali accent. He'd be saying hella and all these different stuff.
That is crazy.
Everyone kind of transforms a little bit depending on, your surroundings and where you're at, the people you're hanging out with. It's kind of like human nature a little bit, but
Yeah. That is funny. That's funny. Awesome. Awesome. So I'm gonna switch the gears now and let's talk about finances, right? So me, I didn't grow up with financial literacy at all. Right?
Mhm.
My parents were born in the 40s. They came to this country. My father worked in a factory almost all his life, never learned English, to the day that he died. My mom, she knows very, very little English, but not enough to really hold like a long term conversation with somebody. But she worked pretty much in a hospital for like 40 plus years. Now she's retired. She actually retired early because I guess she didn't want to work no more after my father's death. And she was like 62, I think, at the time. And she was like, yeah, no more. And but I never learned anything about finances. The most I learned was that he taught me was save some money every month, every time you get a paycheck, and put it for your first car. you know, that's all I knew. Now, I lived in a house all my life. My parents owned credit cards, but they were super responsible. My father no gastaba dinero para nada. Like that's the reason why we were able to enjoy what my brothers and we were able to travel everywhere in this country, mostly the East Coast states. Vacations. And my father did not succeed the fifth grade because poverty and all that stuff.
Yeah.
My mom did not go to high school, and they came here and they were more successful than people that make 100K a year. You know what I'm saying? Because they were responsible. We lived in a house, we had food, we had everything, we had a big backyard, everything, 3 bedrooms, todo, even though it took 30 years to pay off the house, but we still had the house, and it wasn't until a year after he died, or maybe the same year, that I learned, kind of learning about financial literacy, and it was through Dave Ramsey. I'm pretty sure you know who that is, and my good friend actually introduced me. So my question to you is: did you grow up with financial literacy? Because for some reason in the Caribbean families, I'm sure other cultures, they don't talk about this. They don't talk about it because they don't know, or it's just a taboo. I don't know. What is it?
Yeah, I was going to say 2 points. One thing that I remember my dad really being specific on was making sure that he paid all the bills. And one reason that he wanted to make sure that we had food in the fridge all the time, we had a roof over our head, we had everything that we needed, was because in the DR, we all know that those things are not guaranteed, The fridge are usually filled with just condiments, se va la luz, no one has inversores, the lights go off when it wants to, it's hot. And I remember my dad telling me that there was a time when they were so poor that they didn't even have money for food. Wow. And my dad and his sister, they would eat salt. And my dad ended up going to the hospital and his sister ended up away. Yeah. So, he always made it a point to make sure you have everything that you need first before, investing, before doing whatever, because those things are so important, just even for our livelihood. Now, when it came to like financial literacy, my parents didn't teach me about budgeting or investing in the stock market. The only thing that, my grandparents really did pass on to my dad and my mom was to invest in real estate. My grandfather, he was in the military and he used a lot of his money to pretty much pay off his house and the DR. And, in the DR, when you pay off your house, it's yours forever. There's no back taxes or state tax, nothing like that. And what he forced my dad to do when he first got into the military, he forced him to buy some land kind of outside of the outskirts of the DR, which was nothing then, but now it's like, already popular. So he really focused on teaching my dad to invest in real estate. So when he came to America, I wasn't really surprised that he became a real estate agent, and he was trying to help Latinos, get into their first home. And I thought it was really nice, but he didn't really learn about diversifying his income. He didn't really learn about the stock market, making sure that we're not just putting all our eggs in one basket. So when 2008 happened, he kind of overly invested in real estate and he ended up losing everything. And it was really hard for us because, they tell us we're supposed to be learning about personal finances at home, but I was losing in my home when I was a teenager, barely turning, 17, 18. And it was very overwhelming for me, especially, living in a predominantly Latino community that was, like the middle class. It's a really big deal. Even in San Diego or anywhere in the country, to live in an area where there's a lot of Latinos who are successful. And to lose everything at that age, it made me a little bit more aware about financial literacy and understanding that just because you're a homeowner doesn't mean you truly own the home until it's paid off. And I learned that I'm like, you know what? You can finance a car, you can buy a home, you can do all these things. But if you don't own that house outright, you don't own that car outright, it's not really yours. And that's when I really started getting interested in personal finances and decided to change my major to finance just to learn more.
Exactly. That is so good. I love that you say that. And I wish, I mean, of course, we all wish we could have known about all this stuff when we were younger, right? We would have made much better decisions in life. But hey, we got it now, and we take advantage and do whatever we can, And talking about owning, my wife and I, we purchased, well, not purchased, we financed, we financed 2 cars in 2019 of April, right? The same price, right? And we were using the debt snowball method to pay off our debt. So that was still like number 3 or number 4. But when it got to the car, the one that I drive mostly, the smallest debt, muchacha, I had $12K left to pay off. I made a video last year in August saying, in 4 to 5 months, we're going to pay off this car. And you know what happened? We paid it off in I think late in the 3rd and a half month or 4th month. We put down $3K for 4 months, and we paid it off $12K. So basically, when we financed our car that year in April of 2019, it could have taken us 4 years if we were making minimum payments, but we paid it off in a year and 7 months. So it feels so good to drive my car knowing that it's mine. I own it.
Yes, you don't have to look behind your back wondering why there's a tow truck near your car. You're like, that's not for my car. I don't know about anyone else's, but it's not my car. Exactly. You kind of need that mental peace of mind. It really is that important. You know what I mean? Especially for our community that, we're just starting off and we can lose everything, very quickly. It's a 50-50 chance for us. So we need to be, bagging in once we have money, securing, our assets so that we can have them and make sure that we feel confident knowing that I'm not going to lose this. Yeah. If anything happens, I'm not losing this.
Exactly.
And especially for women, I know your wife probably felt like a lot, very happy and very financially confident when, you say, babe, your car's paid. My car's paid. We got this. That's kind of, what we have to do to make sure that we all feel financially confident, not just the husband, not just the wife, but the whole family, even the kids.
Yeah. That is so true. That is so true. So that goes in with my next question about debt. Can you talk to me about debt? Like, where are you guys in life? Do you guys have debt? Are you guys debt free? Maybe besides the mortgage? I don't know. And how important it is, to stay away from debt and how that affects families or people in general.
Yeah, we've been debt free for about 2 years now.
Nice.
We started our debt free journey before we even got married. I was kind of concerned because in California, college is very inexpensive compared to other states. So I didn't really get into student loan debt. But when my husband, I talked to him about his student loans, he had a lot of student loans. So we decided to not bring that into the marriage so there wouldn't be any financial arguments or discussions about that. So we actually ended up paying off our student loans and cash flowing our wedding at the exact same time. It was really overwhelming. But at that time, we didn't have kids. He was able to do extra work to do a side hustle. I was increasing my knowledge when it came to financial planning. So we had the flexibility. So it's really important when you have the flexibility to take full advantage of it and start, maximizing your time so you can start, either increasing your skill set so you can get paid more or getting a side hustle so you can, make more money to pay off your debt. Luckily, after we got married, I got a new car. I ended up pregnant at the same time. So it's kind of like a safety thing. My husband's like, I really want my wife to be, while she's pregnant, carry my baby to, be in a safe car. It's the safety part as well. We need to make sure that we're taking care of ourselves, and having a newer car with, more models, more features that are going to be helping me stay out of car accidents is a benefit. So we decided to slow down our debt-free journey, pay off debt. Not pay off debt, save an emergency fund, and then continue paying off our cars off. And, we knocked them both out within, I think, 2.5, almost 3 years, less than 3 years. And it was a benefit because now we don't have to carry, $1,000 in car payment every single month. Now we can focus on investing that money, on saving more money, getting ahead so that we can, feel more confident to start our businesses and, continue having, increasing our family. We had our son after that. And unfortunately, was born with a heart defect. So we had to, pause our journey and really focus on what's important. And that's one of the main reasons why, when it comes to my brand, the Poised Finance and Lifestyle, and the High Five Banking Method, everything that I teach, I want people to know that taking care of your finances is great, but you have to focus. Remember that it's not all about the money. There's other things that are more important. And we need to find that unique balance that, allows us to be financially responsible, but also be attentive to things that actually matter to us in life, like our family, our health, our future, our education, our skill set, things that, reduce stress so we don't, pass out at 40 or burn out too early age, because that's really important too. What's the point of having money if you burn out, at 45 or 50?
That is so
we
true.
have to, take care of ourselves. So when it comes to getting in debt, you have to always remember, the more debt that you add to yourself, the more stress that you're realistically putting on your shoulders. And you're not just putting that on your shoulders, you're putting that on your spouse's shoulders, and you're also on your kids, because your kids are realizing, mommy and daddy don't have any money to go to Disneyland. Mommy and daddy, they're arguing about money. Mommy and daddy, we can't even go out to eat because my parents are so much in debt. And, the kids start catching on where they're not as, clueless.
Yeah. That's very, very interesting. I think you froze. Sahirenys, where'd you go? You froze for a second. Let's see if it comes back. Let me see, guys. She froze.
That's what I thought. I was like, did it freeze?
You're back. You're back.
Okay. I don't know where I stopped off, but I just pretty much said that, it's really important that we stop going into debt so that we stop increasing our stress and start working on increasing our income so that we have more options when it comes to our finances. It's so important to, start getting out of the survival mode and start getting to the abundance mode of our finances. So I think that's really important to keep in mind, even though you might want to buy something on credit, is it going to, make you happier? Is it going to make you less stressed? Is it going to help you move forward? Always have to consider those type of questions to yourself.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm so happy that you are debt free. My wife and I are on the journey of being debt free. We started off. We got married 2 years ago, and we had combined $67,000 in debt, 10 different debt combined, and today we only have $34,000 left. Yeah, so we went hard, especially me doing Uber and Lyft after my first job every year, So hopefully by the end of December or early January, early 2020 next year, we can be completely debt free, So I'm looking forward for that. I'm like, I can't wait. And it does make a difference when you start seeing those debt going away. I'm like you're giving yourself a raise pretty much, and you can put extra into the next debt. Y se va rapidísimo. It's a psychological effect. You get faster wins, you get motivated more. So I'm like, yes. So we're working on that path, So, and a lot of people are seeing our progress, and they're like, oh my God, how you guys do it? That. So God is good when it comes to that.
Yes. There is a lot of psychological and mental mindset shifts that you have to make when you're paying off debt. But my husband and I did see that we felt more motivated doing the snowball method. Yeah. So we are pro snowball method because you start getting rid of those small little rinky-dink debts and, start working yourself up to paying off the big debt. Because those are the scary ones, and they're like 13,000. It's like, that's big. How am I going to do that? But the 300 one, you know, that's realistic. Okay, I can do that one this month. Okay. And then you can move that $300 to the next biggest, the next biggest debt and start, you know, knocking it down, feeling more confident about it too.
I tell people, look at it like this. When it comes to the death snowball method and the avalanche method, would you try to eat a whole elephant in one shot or eat a mouse at a time? You know,
I like that.
And that's how I look at it. And again, it is statistically proven that I think Harvard and some other schools mentioned that statistically more people are success at the snowball method than the avalanche.
Yes, because everyone makes it feel like it's a math thing. I'm like, it's not all about math. If that's what you're going to do, you're going to be struggling throughout your entire financial journey, not just your debt-free journey, your entire financial journey. You have to hit the mindset, what motivates people, what keeps people going, you know, what makes people feel more comfortable doing so, you know, and I think that's what's so important. I think they really mastered that with the snowball method. So I agree with you.
Of course. Listen, I hate math. I suck at math. I never did good at math academically. And for me to be where I'm at, it was not because of math. Of course, some math is involved, you know, but it's not because of my math. It's because of the principle and my sacrifice and my behavior. You know, they've said personal finance is 20% head knowledge and 80% behavior. You can make 100K and still be broke. You know what I'm saying? So that's good stuff. That's good stuff. So one of the descriptions that you have for yourself, you are a Latina money motivator. You're a millennial mom. You know, you're a content creator. You know, you do have your YouTube videos. I love your 2 minute. You know, I like those because like sometimes I'm on the go, so like 2 minutes right there. You know, you also have your Instagram and whatnot. We're gonna get into that more as well. But let me ask you this. You know, California, as I hear all the time, is expensive to live. So how do you guys manage your finances? Because I know probably a lot of people struggle with that over there.
The reality is that you make more money when you live here. And a lot of people, you know, they kind of forget that. They're like, what, more money? What do you mean by more money? Like, how much more that you're able to still afford to live there? It's kind of like when you think about San Francisco, almost everyone's making six figures because they need to make six figures just to, you know, living in a 1-bedroom apartment. So in California, we don't really focus on having like huge houses, especially the minority and the main people that live here. We focus on having like a decent sized home, and we're not really stuck in the house because we have weather like that. You know, it's sunshine all the time. So we can go to the beach. We can go buy an ice cream for, you know, $3 and spend like a few hours out in the sun, in the beach, in the lakes, hiking. It's an area where you don't have to be indoors so much. So your personal home doesn't have to be a mansion. It can be smaller because, you know, because of that situation. So when it comes to budgeting your money on a more expensive lifestyle, we kind of been trained to accept that and to start looking at other ways that we can, you know, make the numbers work. One of the easiest ways to make it work is to pay off debt. Make sure that you have a consistent and, you know, people live out here. It's really easy to go into debt because there's so many things to do, so many places to go, so many new outfits that you want to try out, you know, and places you want to eat. So you really have to be aware of that and prioritize that, you know, you have your minimum cost of living, like you need to, you know, make sure you make enough money to pay those things and then give yourself some lifestyle money so you don't go broke and, you know, save money so that, you know, if times do get hard, you're positioning yourself correctly. The other thing with California is that we have a lot of benefits. It's not the same. A lot of people, you know, they have a program here called Equal Housing where you can live in a nice apartment and it's like $1,000 or $1,500 versus being $2,500. There's a lot of different ways that you can make money. There's Uber and you get paid very well to do that over here. So, you know, you have to be aware. And we also have Medi-Cal where, you know, it can help people who don't make enough money to make sure they have healthcare coverages. These things are really important, especially for people who are, you know, minorities and they're trying to come out here to make ends meet, you know, to chase a dream of being, you know, whatever they want to be. that there are systems here that will help you while you're growing, into those industries. And the same thing when it comes to college. College is not as expensive here. It's like $7,000 a semester. I know that's expensive, but my husband told me in Alabama, it's like way more per semester. So, you have to take those wins and balance things out and be like, okay, I'm making more, I have more benefits. I'm able to start off, get my degree, get my education. And, eventually you'll get to the point where you don't need those government programs anymore. You're making good income and you know what you need to do to make ends meet, and to be financially secure and responsible as well.
Definitely. That's awesome. And at the end of the day, it's all about being creative and side hustles. Because if you don't have side hustles and working your way to try to get out of debt, then you're going to be in debt for a long time.
Yeah, a lot of people here have side hustles. That's like very common. A lot of people have their 9 to 5 or they're making good money, but they also have a side hustle on the side or starting a small business. Yeah. And very, very common because it's necessary here. It's like you're not looked down upon when you're doing something like that. It's very normal.
Yeah, definitely. And I live in South Florida, so Miami Beach. I'm close to the beaches. So Uber and Lyft is always popping. And I do it all the time, and it's nonstop when it comes to rides, and especially I get out at a time that most people get in out of work, and like I think 2 nights ago, somebody was picking up somebody in Miami Beach, and I'm like, oh snap! Now Miami Beach is blooming again after this whole pandemic. Everybody is flying back to Miami to come to the beach and all that stuff. So the money is there. You just gotta willing to sacrifice.
Yes.
So it's not easy. Again, I work. She's a teacher. She's a second grade teacher. I work 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. But Monday through Thursday, I do Uber and Lyft for like 6 hours. So that means yo me voy a las 7:30 de la mañana and I don't come home until like las 10:30 a las 11. But it's a sacrifice. Yeah. I make like $1,000 a month just on that. Sometimes a little bit more. And you know what? That helped me pay so much debt last year. Last year alone, I paid almost $30,000. Well, we paid almost $30,000 in debt. You know what I'm saying? Like, who does that? But it's all sacrifice. And I post everything on my social media, but people don't see the hard work behind that post.
Yes. A lot of people think it's like overnight success, must be nice. And, they don't want to hear the word sacrifice. But everything in life is a sacrifice. You know what I mean? Having kids is a sacrifice. It ain't easy raising kids. Being a partner, being a spouse is a sacrifice. You can't be out there all crazy. You have a partner you can build with. Starting a business is a sacrifice. Starting a side hustle is a sacrifice. And a lot of times we don't want those sacrifices because we want to, enjoy the moment. We don't want to be told that it's a negative thing. Thinking about my husband and I was talking about how people always in America will say, oh, rice and beans is a negative thing. It's a sacrifice. And me, I'm like, I'm Dominican. That is not a sacrifice. That's a party, okay? My mom tells me, hice un morito. I'm like, ya voy para allá. I'm going over there. It's a party. I'm bring some la cerveza. We already know, Yeah. And, it's just the way you look at it. If you look at it as a sacrifice, it's going to be difficult. If you look at it as an opportunity, you're going to see fruitful. You're like, okay, I want to do it. I'm more interested in it. And again, a lot of it is mental. So we have to just change our mindset of how we look at it and keep pushing forward.
Yeah. Awesome. So you mentioned something called overnight success or maybe quick money or whatever. So I want to ask you a question that's a very hot topic right now.
Okay. I think I already know what it is. Go ahead.
It's a very hot topic right now. People are talking about it like crazy, especially now that, we have these big time billionaires like Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos. And so we are talking about the whole Bitcoin, the cryptocurrencies, the Robinhood and all that kind of stuff. So, and I see it on my news feed on Facebook all the time and people are hopping on it like tomorrow there's the last day living. They're like getting too crazy for it and go hyper. And, now me, I'm just like eating popcorn and just watching from afar, But what is your view when it comes to that? Because we talk about the traditional long-term investments, diversifying, but then we got the cryptocurrency and the Bitcoin. And, a lot of people believe that cash is not, and in the future, it's not going to exist. Everything's all going to be digital, So what is your view of people hopping on that like crazy on the whole Bitcoin and stuff?
I feel like with the whole Bitcoin stuff, the whole side hustle stuff, it's all the same kind of stuff. To be honest, same kind of like people that are going after that. I just want them to know, be cautious with your taxes. Because I think that's what I was reading on CNBC, that these people are going to get taxed like crazy. And they're looking for ways. If you're thinking this is a hot topic, then, we're going to make our dollars off of it too. So I think it's really important that you're very aware of what you're getting yourself into. And I think even myself, when I think about Bitcoin, it's still so confusing how Bitcoin is what it is. You know what I mean? And we're all just following the herd and going off whatever we read. Oh, everyone invest in GameStop. Okay. Now everyone invest in Doggy Coin. Okay. Now everyone start a business. Okay. And it's like, we have to remember that we have to make sure that we're comfortable, in what we're investing. We're becoming knowledgeable in it. And it's really a good that everyone is starting to read more, learn more, and getting interested in it. That's a positive thing. But investing and going all in, that's gambling. And a lot of people don't realize when it comes to Elon Musk, all of these different big time investors, they're not investing more than 10% of their portfolio, in risky things. And on top of that, they're not risking their bills to go do that. They're not risking money that they need to do that. And they're obviously not going into debt to do that. Going into margin is so popular right now that it's disturbing. When I first learned about margin trading, I thought it was unethical, to be honest with you. When I first learned it in class, I was like, are you guys serious right now? Like, you're promoting people to go into debt to buy stocks? Are you kidding me? To do all these things? And it just didn't feel right with me. So you need to listen to your morals, into your inner self, and say, does this sit right with me? Yeah. Is this the right thing for me? Am I willing to risk it all? And, there's a lot of people on TikTok, especially, who are giving, kind of crazy financial advice. And you're seeing these young kids. My husband showed me one where this kid took his money that he had for college, I guess, out of his 529 plan. And he was like, oh, I'm going to teach y'all how to get rich, all cocky. Just keep following my page, get rich quick, let's do it. And then a few days later, he posted that he lost it all and was $99,000 in debt. And his dad was cussing him out, saying, how did you even get the money? Yeah. How did you even get it out of the 529 plan? Like, you don't even have access to that. So, like, how did you do that? So it's so important that, we're being responsible and we're not taking the money that has a purpose and risking it all. That's why I tell people all the time, invest with purpose, save with purpose, spend with purpose. If you know that's for your college, why are you trying to flip it like it's like like gambling over here? Like it's the roulette table. We have to be cautious on what we're doing. So if you are going to be investing in these, riskier things, just realize that you're following the herd and you're following it blindly because you don't even know when to sell it. And I think that's the biggest thing. People don't know when to sell.
Yeah. I learned my lesson, not with that, but just everything else in general. When something comes out and it's blooming, it's popping, I do not jump on that right away because it's unknown. Like, we don't know what's going to happen afterwards. You know what I'm saying? Let me stick at least to the most safe, traditional stuff that's been working forever. You know what I'm saying? So I am not going to jump on that thing so fast. And if it happens that you guys make that money, you know what? So be it. But I'm not going to take that risk because So my wife asked you, should a person be debt-free or making a certain amount of money before investing?
I think people should be credit card debt-free because if you really think about the minority people and young people, we are not getting charged 16%, 11% for credit cards. Let's be honest. We're getting charged 28, 29, 32% on this debt. And that is already amazing of a return if you look at any investment. If you're getting a 32% in return on your investment, you're making it. So imagine getting a 32% return on your money right after you pay off that debt. It's like you said, you're winning all around. Yeah. So it's really important to make sure that you're getting out of credit card debt, especially the high interest debt, and then start investing, because something that my husband and I realized is once we were able to pay off all of our debt, investing became so much more easier because back then investing $500 was like a lot of money for us. That's a car payment. You know what I mean? And now, and now that feels like nothing. It's not that it doesn't feel like nothing. Like $500 is still a lot of money, but it's easier. It feels more realistic for us. It feels like we know we can make ends meet if we have, unexpected medical bill or anything like that, and still invest. The thing when it comes to investing, you want to be consistent. That's the biggest thing. That's what they're expecting when you're doing financial planning. They'll put the numbers in there and they're saying, oh, okay, you're going to invest $500 every single month for the next 40 years. And you're just like, I don't know if I could do that. When you're in credit card debt and it goes up and down like that, you don't know if you can do that. It's not guaranteed. So you want to make sure that you're positioning yourself to be comfortable, to invest money and not wonder if you are going negative in your finances, having a negative impact. Because investing is great, but you can't invest what you need.
Yeah, definitely. I'm super glad. We're super glad that we're credit card debt free. We paid off the
worst one, realistically.
We paid that off last year. I mean, the pandemic unfortunately came, but the pandemic really boosted us up so big. We did have a stimulus check, but we were working from home for 3 months, so I wasn't traveling 40 minutes to work anymore. No gas and all that stuff. So we were able to have more money on hand to pay off that debt. So we paid off like 2-3 credit cards, my student loan, the car. So we went all in. Like, we didn't do what most people would do. Oh, let me buy the new PS5 and let me buy this. I'm like, bro, are you serious? Like, people are in a pandemic and you have debt and you want to spend money on this, but that's a whole other story. So I want to hear this. Let me see if it actually can show. But I want you to explain to me what is. Oh, you can't really see that, but in the background, can you see a little bit? I'm there. What is what is it called? Hold on, let me see. I have it right here. What is the high five banking method and its benefits? Can you talk to us about that? Because you do have an article on your website about it. So can you talk to us about what exactly that is?
Yes. So the high five banking method is a way to organize your finances with purpose. Every single account has a very clear purpose that allows you to be motivated and clear on what direction you're going with your finances. Having all of your accounts in all of your money going into one checking account and all of your money going into one savings account, it can kind of fog up what that money is actually for. And you can accidentally forget how much money you're able to spend because you're seeing so much money in your account. You're like, oh, I can go out to eat. Oh, I can buy this outfit. And a lot of times that's how we end up going into credit card debt or getting hit with bank fees, like overdraft fees, or, accidentally spending the money that we had saved because it gets hit with the overdraft protection. So my goal with the high five banking method is to help people become more clear with their finances so that they can start choosing what they want to do with their finances instead of, getting hit with all of these unfortunate situations. So the high five banking method is really simple. It's composed of 5 accounts, 2 checking accounts, and 3 savings accounts. 1 for your bills. Once you pay off your bills, give yourself a thumbs up. 1 checking account for your lifestyle. The more pointing you do, the worse you'll be financially. So make sure that you're being purposeful every time you point. So if you point less, you'll be able to save more. That's when it comes to 3 savings accounts. 1 for your emergency fund, 1 for your long-term goals, and 1 for your short-term goals. And I think it's so important that we start realizing what we want with our finances. Because when we go to see a financial advisor, the first thing they're going to ask us is, do you have an emergency fund? What's your long-term goals? What's your short-term goals? And it's really important that we start realizing, what do we want with our money? Do we want to, pay for a vacation? Do we want to pay for a wedding? Do we want to save to buy a house? What do we want? And a lot of times we feel when it comes to society, they kind of tell us what we want. You need a new car. You need a new iPhone. You need a bigger house. You need more stuff. You need more vacations. And it's just leading us into going into more debt and just following the herd again and not being purposeful what we actually want when it comes with our personal finances and our goals that we actually want to accomplish. So I really want to promote people to be purposeful, be, organized with what you're doing, and make sure that you're accomplishing what you really want to accomplish.
That's awesome. I really like that concept. I mean, I read the article, but I wanted to hear more from your mouth as you explain it. Just to be clear that I had that right. And that's why I asked you the other day, I DM'd you to ask you about, extra check-ins or whatever. And you told me to find out if does your bank or credit union have overdraft fees? And I said no, so that's perfect. So I'm gonna start doing that because it's gonna benefit my wife and I and stuff like that. So that's really good. I'm gonna be posting that article or that website on the description for people to find that as well. So that's a good point. I like that. Thank you for that.
Yeah, definitely.
Awesome. All right. So I have one last question before going into the 3 fun bonus questions.
Okay.
So this last question is totally like out of left field. It has nothing to do with finances. It's totally out of like a different world. So we're Dominicans, and my wife is Haitian, and we know the beef that Dominicans and Haitians be having. Of course. And a lot of it has to do with history and land and all that kind of stuff, And I live in a predominantly Haitian area, Miami specifically. But what message do you have for Dominican and Haitians that hate each other?
The hate has to stop. The hate has to stop. There is no reason why we need to be treating someone different just because they're Haitian, they're Dominican. And, I've heard all the history about, the revolutions and everything like that. But the reality is the Haitians helped the Dominicans become independent. And the reason they helped us because they revolted against, the French. And that helped us. We started learning from what they succeeded in to allow us to, do the same thing. So we really need to let the hate just drop and move forward as a community because we're on the same island. We're all Caribbean people, even people from Jamaica and from the Virgin Islands. We are all the same. We've all gone through so much together. Yeah. We've all been, enslaved, treated wrong, robbed, made to believe that we weren't worthy of, blessings and prosperity. And I feel like every country in the Caribbean, not just Dominican Republic, not just Haiti, not just Barbados, not just Puerto Rico and Cuba and all that. We all have to value ourselves and know that we have a lot to bring to the table. We have a lot to bring to the table. We are very valuable. We have so much culture, so much creativity, so much beauty, so much love. Yeah. That's what we need to be appreciating and making sure that we're letting the world see that. Exactly. Because once we see our own value, it's over for the rest of the world because they're the ones who are trying to make us hate each other and separate ourselves, not like our curly hair, not like the color of our skin, not like our eyes, And as a Dominican, we're always told, I've always been told, straighten your hair, do this, do that, so much little stuff just to focus on the appearance. And we're so much more than our appearance.
Of course.
The color of our skin doesn't even matter. How kinky our curls are doesn't matter. How our pajon doesn't matter. Exactly. It's making sure that we are valuing each other and teaching our kids that we have a lot to offer and making our kids see their beauty that's within, it's internal, the love that we have. And most people know, you can turn a frown upside down, but it's going this besito, showing love. And that just changes someone's, their entire, bad mood upside down. The hate has to stop, y'all. The hate has to stop.
Exactly. That's right. Taking over the channel right now. I love it. I'm so glad, even though we don't know each other personally, but I'm so glad to have you on because not only because of topics that we are interested in, but because you're Dominican, I'm Dominican, I feel so at home. I feel like I've known you for a while. Like, yes, same culture and everything. So that's awesome. And my mother-in-law compliments you right now. Well said. So that's awesome. So we're going to get into 3 bonus questions. And these are questions that it's not meant for you to think long. It's meant for you. Like,
all right.
All right. Yeah. Número 1. All right. Number 1. Would you rather have a head the size and shape of a baseball or a loaf of bread?
I guess a loaf of bread. I love bread. Who doesn't love carbs?
Oh man, that was good. A loaf of bread. Wow. Imagine somebody with a head size of a loaf of bread. Wow. I don't know. I don't even know.
I have a pretty oval face, so I think in my head I'm thinking of like pan de agua. You know what I mean?
That's true. All right. Number 2. All right. Would you rather live without the internet or live without AC and heating?
I rather live without the internet because I've been to the DR and not having AC, the mosquito te matan ahí mismo.
Real.
And the DR back in the day when I used to have to go on like a Wi-Fi, like what's it called? A Wi-Fi freeze because we didn't have Wi-Fi. My grandma didn't have Wi-Fi, but at least we had abanico and something like that because that heat could really. It depends where you're at. Obviously, if you're in San Diego, you don't need the AC and the heater. That's the benefit. But if you're anywhere else, you're probably gonna need AC and heating.
Exactly. Listen, when I went in 2010, I was like 16 years old. I mean, not 16. I'm sorry. I was in 2010. I was like 24 years old on there, and man, I went to the campo. My father's from, and my father's my uncle, which is really my cousin because he's just a lot older. So my father's nephew, his wife served me un plato de sancocho. Never again on a 90 degrees weather in the campo, in the house, eating sancocho. I was sweating while eating sancocho.
Like, why do they want to make sancocho on the hottest day of the entire year? It's like, we heard it's going to be record high heat. Let's make sancocho. We have to do it. We got to do it.
So I made a habit where every time I ate dinner, I always ate with the fan in front of me.
If the luz was still there, if you were lucky.
People probably looking at me like, "Este sí es americano, de verdad."
Yeah, I'm telling you. And you go to the DR, that's my parents. They wanted me to be humble and to make sure that we knew where we came from and that we didn't, get too sedity with America, because you go out there, taking showers with cold water, no AC, the lights se fue la luz. It's different, so. It's kind of difficult for us as Americans to go out there.
Exactly, but we can do it. We can do it. All right, last one. This is a very interesting one. Would you rather go into the past and meet your ancestors, or go into the future and meet your great grandchildren?
Go into the future.
Wow, I want to know why. My wife said the opposite, but why?
I want to be the person in my family that moves our generation forward. The same way that I look at my grandma as being the pillar of bringing us to America, I want to be the pillar in my family to build generational wealth. I want to see my kids and my grandkids walking like they floating because that generational wealth has just quadrupled. They feel free. They feel that they have options. They feel that they can do whatever and help anyone because they have the opportunity and the money and the resources realistically to do so. I think the work that I'm doing now, I am so excited to even see my children, my grandchildren, my great-grandchildren, reap the benefits of it. And that's the same way I look at my grandmother. She just took the L of coming to America, living in the Bronx, making it happen. And my dad was able to come here and, work really hard. And all of their hard work passed on to me. I was able to go to college. I was able to get in an industry that's, not for me realistically, and make a difference. And now that I'm helping Latinos and my kids with their personal finances, I can't wait to see the future. I know that statistically it's going to be more negative. They're predicting that the African-American people are going to be $200,000 in debt in a few years from now, like 20 years from now. And I'm just like, I want to know that, that's not going to be my family's trajectory. That's not going to be our situation because of the work that my husband and I are doing right now. I think that's so motivating to me just because I was built off, legacy and generational wealth that I'm excited to see the future.
That's awesome. That's amazing. I'm gonna replay that on my own and hear that again. That's really dope. That's really dope. So with that being said, that was the last question, but I want you to make a statement of encouragement for those people that are struggling right now financially. They are fearful, lost their jobs, family members are dying or have died because of the pandemic. Like what encouragement would you want to give to those that are in a hole and they don't even know where to start?
You can do it. I know how that feels. I didn't start from anything. You know, I came from a poor background. I was late when it came to reading, to speaking, to learning how to do math. It took me forever, but it's not where you start, it's where you finish. And I know that the start might not look very pretty. You know, we have to do a lot of jumps and hurdles, but we can get there. It's just the baby steps to do so. And if you're struggling right now, make sure you're budgeting. You have to budget. You cannot skip this step. If you have extra money, make sure you're pushing it towards your small bills, like getting ahead on your cell phone bill and your internet bill, so that you can stop living paycheck to paycheck, because this does not have to be your future. You might have started there, but it does not mean that you end there. You have to make the baby steps that are untraditional, you know, and not talked about in order for you to get ahead financially. And I know it's going to be difficult, but again, look at me. Take me as an example. My family lost everything in 08. And we're way further right now than we were when we first lost everything. So you can lose it over and over, but you know how to remake it over and over again, and getting further and further, and making sure that you're leaving a generational wealth and legacy for your kids. And I think that is so important. So just keep on pushing forward.
Well said. Well said. So can you tell us, my viewers, where can we find you, your website, everything that you do? Where can we find you?
I have most of my the bulk of my financial articles and blogs on my website, poisedfinancelifestyle.com. I talk about, you know, finances. I talk about 2-minute Q&A Tuesdays. I have that as well, where I answer all of your questions that you guys have. So if you have questions, just DM me on Instagram, the Poised Finance and Lifestyle, or you can email me as well. I do a lot of lifestyle stuff as well, so that you can start learning how to embrace what we do have. You know, learning how to eat healthier, learning how to meal prep, learning how to have juices so we can, you know, nourish our minds and our future, especially when it comes to our kids. So everything that I'm sharing with you guys on my Instagram, everything that I'm sharing on my blog, it's things that I've gone through and the lessons that I learned. And I want you guys to take them and move forward with them. Take what works for you, drop what doesn't, but move forward when it comes to your financial future.
Amen. Amen. And I will be posting all of that, because I already know where all your stuff is at.
Thank you. Thank you.
In the description box for anybody that would like to follow and know more about it. All right. It's very helpful and good and healthy to look at other people's, you know, not just my financial stuff or my tips, but also to diversify it, because again, I can learn so much from you. You're ahead of me in many ways, and I'm definitely going to learn more from you and from this person and that person. That's just how it is, right? We learn, iron sharpens iron, right?
That's true.
That is awesome. So, Sahirenys, muchísimas gracias. You have been a blessing to me and my channel, and I hope my viewers can also be blessed as well. So we shall continue, I guess, doing our thing on Instagram and following each other and liking stuff or whatever, you know. Blessings for your family, and I pray that God continue blessing you even long term, you know, for your kids, especially as they get older, and their kids and whatnot. So stay up.
Thank you guys, and thank you everyone who was here and who asked questions. God bless you guys, and just keep moving forward. You guys can do it.
Amen. Amen. All right, nos vemos. Take care.
Bye.